Please subscribe.
Forget what you may remember about the Honda Insight. The 2019 Honda Insight is the third-generation hybrid to wear the Insight name but shares little in common with its direct predecessors. The newest Insight takes competent bones passed down from the Civic and adds grown-up looks cribbed from the Accord. The Insight earns a 6.8 overall for now. Safety isn't yet figured into that score, and we expect that number will rise once official crash data is available. Honda officials say that the Insight is the first step toward the automaker's larger strategy for electrification, but we see it as a final step for future small cars that'll be the norm. It starts with the Insight's looks, which don't scream anything other than compact sedan. The first two generations of the Insight were look-at-me hybrids. The first was a two-door hatchback shape complete with wheel covers, and the second was an egg-shaped Prius fighter with Prius-like looks. The 2019 Insight is more mature than both, and tones down some of the current Civic's look for a conservative take. It borrows some from the Accord, too, including the useful touchscreen, and gets the best of both parents' genes. Think Ben Stiller, not Martin Sheen. Under the hood is a 1.5-liter inline-4 and electric motor combo that makes 151 horsepower and drives the front wheels only. It's not particularly fast, but the Insight is very fuel efficient. Our calculators figured combined mileage around 55 miles per gallon, better than the EPA's estimates. The ride is smooth and composed, although somewhat noisy at times. Official crash data is lacking, but the 2019 Insight comes standard with active safety features including forward collision warnings with automatic emergency braking, active lane control, and automatic headlights. Although the Insight starts at less than $24,000 for a base LX version, we see the most value in the middle of the lineup with the Insight X. It offers an 8.0-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, 16-inch wheels, a digital instrument cluster, Honda's telematics, and cloth upholstery. The Insight Touring starts at nearly $29,000, which is more than the more spacious Accord hybrid model that we'd recommend to mid-size buyers. TS existence is largely due to the Civic, but the 2019 Honda Insight's looks should be credited to the Accord. Neither one of those is a bad thing. We get that many shoppers see themselves in tall riding crossovers more than four-door cars nowadays, but we just wish that they'd see how far good-looking sedans like the Insight have come. We give it a 7 out of 10 for good looks, inside and out. The Insight doesn't borrow much from the Civic's closet, only the roofline and wheelbase is common among both sedans. Instead we see the Honda midsizer and the Insight's nose and tail, which Honda says will appeal to a slightly older crowd than the Civic. Think 30-somethings instead of 20-somethings. The Insight's curves are tamer than the Civic's, too, with fewer creases along the side and a more upright nose. The wheel arches are more graceful on the Insight. Perhaps a hat tip should go to the Mazda 6 there. Inside, the Insight skips the Civic's frustrating touchscreen and control layout for one plucked from the Accord, complete with a volume knob. The Insight sports a low dash that helps outward vision, the Civic, and digital display that's functional and easy to understand. Unlike the spicier Civic, the Insight prefers a milder approach to aesthetics and color schemes. The 2019 Honda Insight's small engine and battery combo are stock and trade for efficiency compacts. Outright performance takes a back seat. We don't mind much, there's plenty of leg room. The Insight rides comfortably without urgency and returns impressive fuel economy, even with our heavy right feet. Starting from an average score, we deduct a point for its lack of pep but give it right back for a competent ride. It turns a 5 out of 10. By the numbers, the Insight is powered by a 1.5-liter inline-4 that makes 107 horsepower paired to a 129 horsepower electric motor. The combined output is 151 horsepower and 197 pound-feet of torque, although Honda's approach to hybrid powertrains may be somewhat new to shoppers. The so-called two-motor hybrid system primarily uses the electric motor and battery for propulsion, not the gasoline engine. Under certain circumstances, the battery electric motor can power the Insight without the gasoline engine at all, or all three can clutch together to drive the front wheels. That arrangement mostly skips the need for any kind of conventional transmission, automatic or continuously variable automatic, and largely relegates the gasoline engine to work as an electric generator under most circumstances. The noticeable difference for most drivers may be that acceleration and the gas engine activity may not be directly proportional. At times, the engine could be busier than expected, working hard to regenerate power to the hybrid system. At other times, the engine may seem overly relaxed. The hybrid system has enough power to operate without the inline-4. In any respect, the Insight is a tick slower than other cars on the road, roughly in line with other affordable hybrids such as the Toyota Prius. Our informal testing pegged 0 to 60 miles per hour acceleration around 10 seconds, but 0 to 30 miles per hour is a little more impressive around town than that figure would indicate. In passing or climbs, the Insight is more leisurely. Rural, two-lane highway passes may require some advanced planning. The Insight is equipped with EV, Sport, and Econ modes that predictably impact performance, although Sport mode feels out of place here. In our testing, tipping the Insight into Sport made the throttle peppier and the engine rev higher, not to mention pipe in some unnecessary engine sounds into the cabin, but didn't make the car any faster. Switching over to Econ mode relaxes the throttle response, but didn't seem to push the car into all-electric mode any more than normal. We've found that the Insight is best when operated without micromanaging. Start the car up and go. Honda introduced a heavier than normal kickdown switch. About 25% of the throttle is past a heavy detent that seemed awkward, so a relaxed attitude is best with the Insight. Insight ride and handling. The Insight benefits by sharing most of its structural components with the Honda Civic, including a McPherson front suspension setup and multi-link rear suspension. The Insight gets the top-shelf fluid-filled bushings from the Civic that tempers road behavior in a way that other compact cars largely don't have budget for. Base and extreme levels get 16-inch wheels with bigger sidewalls that have more give, but our turns behind the wheel of touring versions with 17-inch wheels were far from fussy. The Insight steers well, although its chunky steering wheel hints at a sportier mission than the car delivers. Big, 11.1-inch rotors up front rest the Insight confidently, seamlessly switching between friction and regenerative braking without issue. Honda engineers have found a somewhat interesting use for the Civic's steering wheel-mounted paddle shifters. They click through 3 levels of regenerative braking force and the Insight in a puzzling way. Dialed into their most aggressive regen setting, the Insight still won't be a one-pedal driver for most owners. That may be disappointing to some seasoned green car shoppers. Forget the hybrid powertrain altogether, and the 2019 Insight excels at being a compact car. It should, like the Civic from which it's based, the Insight has mid-size dimensions inside. We say 4 adults will comfortably ride within the Insight's confines, 5 if the office wants to go out for lunch. There's enough space for cargo and the Insight's batteries don't intrude into the package. We give it a 7 for comfort. By the numbers, the Insight offers 112.7 cubic feet of room inside, including 15.1 cubic feet for the trunk. The front seats are supportive and comfortable, but ride a little lower than some may expect. There's plenty of headroom up front for the longest torsos at 39.3 inches, and long legs should fit just fine too with 42.3 inches. A moonroof doesn't cut too much into available headroom, and the Insight's telescoping steering wheel and long seat travel would make a T-Rex comfortable behind the wheel. Maybe. In back, the Insight offered just enough headroom and 37.4 inches of legroom for our big-bodied, 6'3" editor to ride behind someone of equal size. Long road trips with big adults should be possible, but perhaps not palatial. Like the Civic, the Insight has somewhat thin seats, but they don't skimp on comfort, that offers good knee room for rear seat riders. The Civic has grown over successive generations, and that's a boon for hip room for big, wide American bodies. Clever packaging, such as a battery in the transmission tunnel near the driver's knee, means that the Insight offers a good-sized trunk that should hold plenty of gear. A wide trunk opening makes the space that much more available to use. A 60-40 split folding rear seat is standard on X and Touring trim levels. Active noise cancellation in all Insights works hard to quell outside noises, although some filter into the cabin anyway. Because of how the two-mode hybrid system operates, we cover the powertrain above, sometimes the engine and overall speed aren't in sync with the driver's right foot. That led to a noisier cabin that we expected at points around Minneapolis. Compared to a Toyota Prius, the Insight's engine seemed noisier, although the Honda was more comfortable overall. Official crash test data for the 2019 Honda Insight isn't yet available, so we're withholding our score for now. Absent results from the S and NSA, we're encouraged by standard active safety features at every trim level. The 2019 Insight shares the same basic structure with the Honda Civic, which earned top good scores by the S for crash safety and earned a relatively rare 5-star rating across the board by federal testers. Only a poor rating for headlights kept the Civic from climbing our scoreboard further. The news gets better. All Insights are equipped with active safety features that Honda calls Honda Sensing. The bundle includes forward collision warnings with automatic emergency braking, active lane control, traffic sign recognition, and automatic headlights. X and Touring trim levels get a mirror-mounted camera on the right side that helps peek into that blind spot. The S-rated Honda Sensing superior in avoiding low and high-speed crashes up to 25 miles per hour in other cars. We expect the same from the Insight when it's tested. Depending on your worldview, the 2019 Honda Insight is either a well-equipped compact sedan or a mainstream hybrid that flies under the radar. We see both, and for less than $30,000 in all configurations, we also see value. Starting from our baseline, the 2019 earns points for good standard features and its standout value. It gets a 7 out of 10. At the LX trim level for $23,725 to start, the Insight offers 16-inch wheels, LED headlights, a 5.0-inch display for audio, Bluetooth connectivity, 1USB port, cloth upholstery, keyless ignition, and a suite of advanced safety features called Honda Sensing that we cover above. The Insight Touring trim is the top of the pile and costs $28,985. It offers navigation, a moonroof, 17-inch wheels, premium audio, power-adjustable heated front seats, 17-inch wheels, an 8.0-inch touchscreen for infotainment with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, leather upholstery, and a mirror-mounted camera on the right side for better blind spot visibility. We see the best value at the X trim level, which is right in the middle between the LX and Touring trim levels. X-equipped Insights get active lane control, the 8.0-inch touchscreen with smartphone compatibility, cloth upholstery, 16-inch wheels, and 2 USB ports for nearly $25,000. Honda doesn't offer many options in its trim levels, but thankfully has made active safety features standard across the board. At 52 miles per gallon combined in most versions, the 2019 Honda Insight Hybrid is among the most fuel-efficient cars on sale without a plug. Honda's clever two-motor hybrid system works well at keeping the compact sedan frugal, but the Insight's fundamental differences with other hybrids means that it could operate differently than buyers are expecting. It still earns an 8 out of 10 on our fuel economy scale. To do any better would require a plug. Honda expects that the EPA will rate most versions of the Insight at 55 miles per gallon city, 49 highway, 52 combined. The Insight Touring trim is rated slightly lower at 51/45/48 of a mile per gallon due to bigger tires and heftier curb weight. Among compact hybrids, the Insight holds its own. The Ioniq is rated at up to 58 miles per gallon combined, and the Toyota Prius clocks in at up to 56 miles per gallon combined. In our testing, we easily beat the EPA's figures. In over 80 miles of testing around Minnesota and Wisconsin, mostly highway driving which is less fuel efficient for hybrids, we clocked 55.2 miles per gallon.